You know what's hilarious? Everyone's an expert in your business. Friends, family, random strangers online, all full of opinions about what you should do, how you should spend your money, and how to run your life. But here's the truth. Nobody knows your business like you do. Not your friends, not your accountant, not your wife or husband, and definitely not some random on LinkedIn telling you how to manage your business. I'm Tony from the Business Owners Advisory, and today we're talking about one of the strongest tools you've got as a business owner, your own intuition, and why, honestly, most other people are usually wrong, certainly when it comes to your business anyway. The number one is the truth about intuition. Gut instinct is pattern recognition, built from years of dealing with people, money, risks, mistakes. Your gut feels what your conscious brain can't articulate yet. Those hairs standing up on your neck, you should listen to them. One caveat here, your gut can also be clouded by emotions, by ego, by stress. Never make an emotional decision. Over the years, I've heard people before showing off to me that they'll make all their decisions based on emotion. This is a huge red flag, particularly in business. And even more so to be proud of that fact when it really isn't something to be proud of. So if you're making emotional decisions, then that means they're not necessarily going to be the logical ones. Now, some may work out okay, but trust me, in the long run, you'll get found out by your decisions, but also by the people around you, because the consequences of your emotional decisions will in the end affect everybody in your business and anyone connected to it, including your customers and your staff. People don't like volatility. People don't like unpredictability, and that's what continually making emotional decisions leads to. So watch your step there and take the time you need to make the right decision, not the one that just feels the best. What you should really be using your gut for is to check yourself. Check your reality, check yourself, and then decide. So on to number two, why other people are usually wrong. People love telling you, that'll never work, you're crazy, just get a safe job. But remember, they're talking about what would scare them, not necessarily you. Most people in your life, even friends and close family, most people give out advice based on things like their own fears, their own risk tolerance, which often may be way lower than yours, their own insecurities, and protecting their own comfort zones. But the reality is that they're not in your business. They don't know your plans. They don't know your numbers or your abilities. And ultimately, they don't feel the weight that you're carrying. So by all means, listen, but always remember to trust yourself more. That said, it's good to listen to these people. Of course it is. Always be open, look from all angles, and be critical of yourself. Are your plans and ideas watertight? Where are the pressure points? How can you make the idea or the business stronger? How do you prove some of these people wrong? Because that's always the best way. But remember that even the negative people can still have advice worth listening to. So that's a nice segue onto number three, how to tell when to trust your gut versus seeking advice or guidance. So let's start with the gut calls, because there are some things that really start from your gut and usually get settled pretty quickly. So things like people decisions, so things like trustworthiness and partnerships come into play here. Deals that feel off, like should we invest either the time or the resource, or should we invest into this or anything like this given the opportunity? That usually comes from your gut pretty quickly. And then new ideas that spark real excitement in you. Can you tell early on when something strikes you in a positive way? Just like you can with negative feelings too, of course. But there are other times, more often than not, when we all need to take a pause and check ourselves. So things like large financial commitments, something like an ad campaign or some hard asset investment in your business or other risks you're taking. These kinds of decisions should never be made emotionally. Like, just because you love riding horses doesn't mean that you should spend your whole life trying to set up an equestrian center, right? And then things like legal risk and also technical complexity or anything else actually that's outside your expertise. We all need to play carefully in those areas. So to summarize, I say go with your gut, but not 100% of the time. Be humble enough to sense when you really don't know or you don't know enough. And that's why sometimes it's good to get advice from people with an overarching viewpoint that have experience across all sectors of running a business. Then take that advice and guidance and use your gut and your brain together and push forward. So, number 4, this gut versus mind section for me really resonates. Because for me, like anything, hindsight is a fabulous thing. But some of the biggest times in my life that I listened to my gut, I did it way too late. I mean, at least I did it and I took the action that I needed to in the end. But the older I get, the more I realise that in lots of cases, my gut reaction was initially correct. And if I'd moved sooner, then the outcome would have been better or at least quicker. Because as we all know, time is money, right? Reversely, though, there have also been a few times when my gut instinct was to press ahead. And then only years later did I realise that plan could have been executed better. But sometimes life's about just making mistakes and learning from them. So don't make that same mistake again and you're good to go. The number 5 to finish up now is why self-trust is critical. Trusting yourself doesn't mean ignoring good advice. It means filtering advice through your own lens and owning the consequences, being accountable. If you outsource important decisions, even to senior staff, then you'll lose confidence and maybe even end up building a business you don't really like. So to wrap up, at the end of the day, your business is yours. Trust your intuition. It saved my arse more than I think I realise. And as you know, advice is everywhere, so listen carefully. But it's you who decides what action to take, no grandma or your mate down the pub. And remember, most people are wrong about what you're doing because they're not living it like you are. So listen to people, but trust yourself more. You're the one who has to live with your own decisions. Thanks for watching. Please like if you liked and subscribe if you will. Thanks for watching till the end. And please drop a comment if you've got any stories about trusting your gut. See you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.